What is up, everybody? It is Sam here with BFPGear.com, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a kind of a hybrid video. This is going to be like a product review and a first look, while also showing you how to change the lens in the new JT Proflex QLS frame. QLS stands for Quick Lens System, and your thumbs are going to thank you for this because getting JT lenses out can be a bit of a pain in the ass. You have to usually take your frame, wrench your frame out, or sorry, wrench your lens out, I should say, and then you got to like pinch it, put the new lens in, and then start pinching everything around the whole frame just for the lens to snap in place. We don't have to do that anymore. The QLS is here, and we got our hands on one of each of the colors here. And I'm going to be swapping out the lens in this olive one with the smoke lens, I should say, because I think this looks really cool. Now, price point before we get into this, these are a little bit expensive, and I will explain why that is. You're looking at $114.95 for the standard colors, which currently are black and the olive drab. And then if you get any of the ice colors, or like these clear ones, just add $5 to that. It's going to be $119.95. And you've got your choice between the crystal clear ice here. You're going to have the ice aquamarine, or you can choose the ice brown, which all of them look really good. And one of the cool things about these frames as well, they come with a matching goggle strap, and all of the straps look incredible. But with that said and done, we're going to see you guys and gals after the intro. So we've got our QLS frame here in the olive drab. Beautiful matching woven straps as well, which honestly, these all look really cool. I wish JT would bring back some of these like glitter straps, but this is like a white, like silver glittery strap. And before we get into, changing out the lens, I do want to go over a lot of the sweet features of this goggle system, and then why that price point is so high and is basically justified. Namely, you're getting a lens in here. So you got a clear lens here, then you've got a frame, and then you have a woven strap. And if you were to buy all these components separately for a JT Proflex, you're probably going to be hitting that $120-ish mark. So with all those parts combined, here's what you get. But instead of having just a standard frame, you're going to have this really, really nice QLS frame. And I know some folks out there on the internet have been saying these look like thins and stuff like that. And I don't know, I kind of feel like, with those thins that came out, you almost have like a small, a medium, and a large size frame, which I think is really, really cool. Now, one of the coolest features to go over here is actually this foam. This is triple layered foam that is from G1. And the coolest thing about the foam on the QLS frame is that it literally just comes right off. And they just kind of hold in with like these little studs. And those studs just kind of snap into the frame, both top and bottom. So if you need to swap out your foam, you don't need to sit there with like some Goo Gone or whatever, take off old glue and residue. You can literally just get a whole new set of foam, and it just snaps right back into place. So it just pops in. You don't really hear it pop in, but you feel it pop in, which is awesome. Having quick change foam is going to be real helpful for anybody out there that's looking for the next best toolless design. And then speaking of toolless design, the lens is actually held in place via two clips on the inside behind the strap here. And it holds this top front piece here. This is literally like almost like a clamshell kind of design where we're going to pinch something in between. So the lens sits in between the back part of the frame, which is more flexible and malleable, and then this front piece here is more solid. So let's go ahead and just commit to changing the lens here. So I like to remove the top layer of foam personally, just because I don't want to like mess it up or anything like that. And then you'll notice you got these two gray clips on the inside, and they are labeled 1 and 2. This is just like a part number thing. You don't have to do anything in a particular order. But really, really easy to do. All you gotta do is just take the tab and you just flip it inward, and you'll hear it snap out, and now it's loose. And we're gonna do that for both sides here. And now that they're both loose, there's two little pieces on the inside that is basically the edge of the clamshell kind of style here, and you can push them out from the inside if you want. And then once you do that, you just pull, and let's pull from the other side as well. And then it's still kind of stuck in the middle. So right here in the middle, there's a little stud that just plugs into the frame. And all we're gonna do is just pull, and it just pops right out. And there's that little hole just right there where that stud goes. But then if we take this little, harder plastic piece here and flip it over, the stud sits right here, and above it is just kind of a flat piece, so it kind of helps align everything. And then the lens just sits in place. Like, you can just take it out. And then when you put your new lens in, you'll notice that there's like little slats and stuff all around this more malleable part of the frame. And literally the lens just kind of, I don't want to say it snaps into place, but it just kind of falls into place. And then once you do that, all you're going to do is, I like to lay it down flat personally. And then I'll take this clamshell piece, and I like to start with the center so that way I get that stud in there. And then you just kind of push in, and then you can check to see if it pushed all the way through if you flip it over and look right where the bridge of the nose goes. And you'll see the stud just kind of punctures through a little bit. And then you just kind of pick a side and just start like pushing stuff in, and it kind of just falls into place for the most part. Sometimes you might have to move some stuff around, but once you get to the part where you're gonna like lock in this little tab that sits right here on the frame itself, or like the top part of the frame, it needs to go in where the strap goes. So let's go ahead and I have to fight with it a little bit here. Just kind of pushing stuff into place. It looks like it lines up. And then you just push in. And then it's always good to double check to make sure none of like the actual frame up here is like kind of pushing over, because if it is, like right down here, you'll notice that the clamshell piece kind of doesn't overlap. All you do is just kind of push in, and you'll see that it starts to overlap. And you want to make sure you do that for both sides. So, and you might have to push a little bit against it, but once you get that going, it all just really falls into place. And now the lens is in there and it's installed, and all we gotta do is lock it in place. And literally my thumbs are thanking me for it, because now they don't hurt. I didn't pinch anything. All I really need to do is just get like a microfiber cloth and just start wiping off like my fingerprints. But now that we're done with that, we just need to basically hook these little tabs back in. And it's gonna be really hard to see, but literally it's just a little hook, and that hooks into the actual clamshell piece. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you kind of give it a little bit of space here. You flip it inward, so that way the tab sits kind of flat and open face like this. You make sure it hooks in, and then you just flip it in. Sometimes you'll hear it snap. When you do, that's when you just pull the strap in, and it kind of locks it in place for you, which is really, really sweet. Now I'm going to do it with the other side here. And that one didn't snap in, but I don't know if you can see it in there, but you see that it's like locked in place. So I'm just going to pull the strap. And I'm going to go ahead and just tighten that up, and then we're just going to reinstall our foam. And this is pretty much it. I mean, this is all it takes to switch out the lens in that new QLS goggle frame. The other cool thing about this is its parts compatibility. This is compatible with all JT Proflex parts and a majority of aftermarket parts. So I know there's some folks out there that have like aftermarket pieces, but some of those aftermarket pieces won't fit on there. And it's mostly like, I know there's like some like rain lids and like duck bills and stuff, and they won't fit on here because there's like these little studs up here where that clamshell kind of like goes into. So you can use like JT Proflex visors and stuff like that. Who knows, maybe we'll see something in the near future. But for the most part, you can use pretty much whatever JT Proflex compatible part with this. But with that said and done, we're gonna go ahead and flip the camera around, and we're gonna get some really cool closing remarks and talk a little bit more about the QLS frame. There you have it. That is how you change the lens on the QLS frame for the JT Proflex. Now, there are a couple of other things that I do want to talk about and go over with this goggle system that is just really cool, really slick. Namely, right here in the frame itself, there's these little slats on both sides, so you can actually use a universal chin strap if you want. So if you're not a fan of the chin strap that comes on your JT Proflex faceplate, you can always pick up an aftermarket universal one to use instead. And I think JT is starting to recognize that there's a lot of folks out there that really like using those aftermarket products, whether it's straps, you know, those chin straps, you know, visors, duck bills, et cetera, et cetera. They're starting to recognize that with a lot of companies and that a lot of players like to do that. And they're just making everything more accessible for the player out there, which is you, me, and everyone in between. The other thing that's just really slick is just that removable foam. Like I said and mentioned earlier, the removable foam is just such a cool feature to have because, again, we just don't have to worry about, you know, like ripping our old foam off when it gets all messed up and cruddy and then we got to take off all the old residue. We can literally just snap everything in. And this does utilize the tri-layer G1 foam, which I find to be very soft, very comfortable. And this little upgraded frame does something that is kind of rare with a paintball product in my opinion. And when you get like a full build going with this thing, you put your ears and your faceplate on, and then you put the goggle on itself when it's fully built, it still feels like a JT Proflex and it's still gonna breathe like a JT